Let's watch a heated Piers Morgan panel. Now that Joe Biden has officially pardoned Hunter, Piers is, of course, going to meander about this like it's the worst thing to ever happen to America, and MAGA's gonna follow suit in an attempt to draw this false equivalency that means that Biden is now somehow no different or even worse than Trump, which is hilarious on its face, but we can get into that after we line these clips up to provide the needed fact checks and context.
Respectfully to my two Trump supporting folks on the panel, don't ever say that MAGA doesn't have a problem with or has a problem with deception and lying. Come on now. Joe Biden lied repeatedly about this, but we ain't never seen a politician in America that lies as much as Trump does, and clearly his supporters don't have a problem with that. Let's not, Piers, excuse Biden made a mistake, but Donald Trump, regardless of what Biden did last night, Donald Trump's going to do some scary stuff for 4 years.
Who made a mistake?
Joe Biden made a huge mistake in pardoning his son.
It's not a mistake, is it?
Not a mistake. It's not a mistake.
No.
It's a wanton act of lying, shameless hypocrisy.
I want you in particular to focus on the words that Piers is using to describe this, and by extension that you see MAGA in general using when they talk about this. It's lying, deceitful, disgusting, shameful, etc. Have we ever heard Piers or MAGA describe any Trump lie like this? Any. And we know he told over 30,000 during his administration. He's been lying about the election since 2020. Do we ever hear these kinds of words used to describe these lies from MAGA? No, they just go along with him. When Trump lies is covered by the misinformation machine, it's in two ways. And I really want to stress this to help show how this misinformation machine works. It's either laughed about or normalized, like, oh, there Trump goes again, just being silly, or it's shrugged off, kind of like how it was with the migrant thing, right? Or you see MAGA and the misinformation machine jump through any mental gymnastics they need to say, well, his lies are actually true. Like the election interference, despite 60 court cases, despite evidence, despite Rudy Giuliani, Dinesh D'Souza, all these people admitting in court that they lied about these things that they said happened during the election. The MAGA side still says that, oh, well, it happened. But when Biden lies, the entire world is supposed to stop spinning and shame him and just all of this nonsense, right? This is the double standard that MAGA wants to pretend is reality and that I do not care to indulge in anymore. When you don't care that your side lies, or you don't care that they do slimy pardons like Michael Flynn, like Roger Stone, like Charles Kushner, like Dinesh D'Souza, like Steve Bannon, when you don't care about any of that, you lose the high ground in critiquing the other side, because we all know if it was Trump or your side doing it, you would have no issue with it and you would defend it. So who cares about your critique? The only thing Biden did wrong here was saying he wouldn't pardon him originally, probably for fear of right-wing framing. And this is always what Democrats go wrong, is they fear how like Republicans are going to respond, so they hesitate to do things when it's obvious how obsessive the Republicans are and how they were going to keep going after him. It's also funny that everyone knows they went after Hunter as revenge for Trump getting charged, but now Trump won, so he gets absolved of all his crimes for some reason, but they still want Hunter to be held accountable. It's kind of weird. Like, he's a private citizen investigated by Congress, charged with charges that private citizens never get charged with. And this is somehow equatable to Trump, who like committed actual felonies, was actually indicted by a grand jury. Like, what are we doing?
What a bunch of shameless, lying hypocrites. Would you disagree with that assessment?
I think two reasons why Joe Biden turned on his initial promise. Number one, as your guest mentioned, father's love. And number two, because Donald Trump is not a normal president. I think Joe Biden thought he would win election. He probably thought Kamala Harris would win. If another Republican would have run, he probably thought, okay, there wouldn't be any vindictive prosecution. But Donald Trump, in the final month of his election campaign, said that the rest of us who are his critics are the enemy from within, on whom he would unleash the police and the National Guard, called us evil.
Why are you talking about Donald Trump?
Wait, listen.
Well, hang on. Why are you talking about Trump? I'm asking you about Biden.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear to see what actually happened here if you're Yeah, I think it's pretty clear to see what actually happened here if you're just like unbiasedly, objectively looking at it. Trump spent the last 30-something days calling Democrats the enemy of the people, the enemy within, saying he would in fact go after them, that they would need people going after them, that he would utilize the military and National Guard to do so. He appointed a Democrat-hating conspiracy theorist in Kash Patel, who has a literal hit list of Democrats that he wished to take down. He appointed him as the head of the FBI, attempting to make someone like Matt Gaetz AG before appointing a different Trump loyalist. I mean, it's pretty clear that Trump is setting the government up to work under his thumb, pretty much like with no checks and balances for him or what he wants to do, and to where he can go after any of his opponents or anyone he wants without anyone questioning him on anything. And as a father, this probably scared Joe Biden. I mean, should he have just said he might pardon Hunter from the start, or it was a possibility? Yeah, he probably should have just done that. But that doesn't compare to over 30,000 lies told during Trump's administration, or his multitude of slimy pardons: Roger Stone, Charles Kushner, Michael Flynn, Steve Bannon, the list goes on. But MAGA can also cut me a break, pretending that they're mad that Hunter doesn't have to face justice when they literally want Trump absolved from all 88 felonies, no questions asked, no trials, no anything.
He just lied. He obviously always intended to pardon him. And you've been you have rightly been very keen to remind everybody in every appearance you've made on this show about Trump's lack of veracity as you see it and how damaging to democracy that is.
Okay, couple really important things to touch on here. First off is the framing again, because it's really important. Notice how Piers is Bible thumping. Biden lied. Joe Biden lied. He lied. It's shameful. It's terrible. But then for Trump, it's, well, Trump's lack of veracity as you see it. This is exactly what I mean when I say right-wingers will always dishonestly frame anything, the premise of anything that they cover, to where there's always this inherent bias built in and the framing will always favor them. Biden is a liar. No questions asked. No question about it. And you have to answer for this. But Trump just has a lack of veracity according to Wajahat, right? The difference there is pretty astonishing. Also, well, it's not only astonishing, but especially astonishing considering that Trump is 30 times the liar that Biden is. Also, there's a pretty bad faith comparison here. The threat Trump poses to democracy is his lies about our institutions. It's his lies about our elections, creating credibility or a lack of credibility with our institutions, right? With our media, with our courts, with our agencies, with our elections. This creates a threat to democracy, not just outright lying, of which Trump does a lot of too, by the way. Again, over 30,000 lies told in his administration. And as to, well, he was going to pardon him the whole time, I don't think that's true, really. And I don't think that there's any evidence you can point to say that's true, or he would have, right? He would have just done it originally. If you want to say, oh, well, he was scared about his own election chances. Okay, he would have done it after he dropped out. He had nothing to lose then. Or, I mean, if you want to then say, well, maybe it would have affected Kamala, and that's why he didn't do it. Well, then he would have done it right after the election and results were announced, and he knew that Trump was going to win. But he waited until these latest picks started rolling out, which is what I think makes it really, really clear. Trump's rhetoric about going after his enemies, matched along with his actual actions of taking pics of people who have signaled that they want to go after political enemies or that they will not question Trump, probably made him change his mind, which probably any parent would if they had the power to which I say, literally, who cares? Literally, who cares? After everything Trump did and Republicans carried water for, we're going to pretend that we have to crucify Biden for pardoning his son? Like, give me a break. I mean, unless we want to talk about disbanding the I don't even know what that was. Unless we want to talk about disbanding the pardoning power completely to where the president should not have this ability to pardon anyone, I'm all for that. I'm all for that conversation. I don't think the presidential pardon power should exist. I think that it often gets abused by any president in office. This is always going to happen. Biden did it, Trump did it, Obama did it, Bush did it, like literally always happens. But MAGA, of course, wants Trump to be able to pardon his cronies. So they don't want to have that talk. They just want to be able to crucify Democrats when they do something bad with it. And then, like, let's just not talk about it when Republicans do it. So as far as accepting any critique from the right, I mean, there's no chance in hell I would ever do that about any of this stuff. They've lost all of the high ground they could have ever had to ever do that. Sorry, cry more about it, MAGA. That's how I feel.